It is now 6:46 PM and I call this meeting to order. Chairman Round is attending this meeting via Zoom and has asked me to preside over the meeting. So I'll now call the roll. Jeff?
Here.
Ryan?
Here.
Ann? Here. John?
Here.
Great, and Kathy's here. Okay, so we got a quorum, and we'll now preside with the first item on the agenda, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is on this side of the room today. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so,
Is this meeting being recorded?
yes, thank you very much, Anna,
think it
for
is.
the reminder.
Maybe.
This meeting is being recorded, and as a convenience to the public, this meeting is available electronically via the Zoom link for viewing and participation. In the event of a technology failure, the meeting will continue in person. All right. Are there any public comments on non-agenda items? Anybody?
No.
Okay. All right, and then, I need my glasses for this. Next is the chairman's report. Just double checking, John, you have no comments. I had one that I would like to make. You all set?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay. So on behalf of the select board, we'd like to thank our public safety teams for coordinating the inaugural Greater Cape Ann Public Safety Softball Tournament held in Manchester on July 12th. We've often commented that our public safety teams are the best of the best, and part of being the best is understanding that positive relationships beyond Manchester's borders are very important. These team building events go a long way towards nurturing that camaraderie that can enhance communications and coordination in the event of an emergency. And a special shout out goes to Manchester firefighter Phil Cicalia for being the driving force behind the event. 100% of the proceeds were dedicated to the family of a fallen Boston firefighter. And in addition to Phil, we'd like to have a shout out to our third baseman, our town administrator, Tony Barletta, for participating in the event. Your participation and enthusiasm showed great commitment to the community, and it was very noticeable and appreciated by our public safety team, so thank you.
I appreciate getting invited. Young stud.
And third base is a tough position, underappreciated position it is. All right, so then next on the list is a quick review of our action items. Is there anything pressing, because we're running a little behind, that any member of the board would like to bring to my attention?
I'd like to just add an item to
Yep.
it. I got a couple of phone calls over the weekend about parking at the beach.
Parking at the beach?
Parking at the
I think
beach.
that's on the list. Do we want to move it up?
But I think after the season, we want to talk about how the, again, it's about parking stickers.
Yep, it's right on the list.
Yeah, just like, what is it?
It's for October. Did you want to do it?
No,
earlier?
October is good. I think we should do it after the season.
Yeah,
And
okay.
before anything else is decided for next season. Okay,
Got
there
it
is.
on the list. Anybody else? John, was there anything you wanted to comment on?
No, nothing on the action items at this point.
Okay, I just did want to make note
Thank you.
that regarding the tree policy, we can do that maybe the second week, the second meeting in August. I just didn't want to bother DPW while
Okay.
the trash uncertainty was in front of us. And it was noticed that the Ocean Street discussions were delayed to September. Is there some delay in the contractor getting back to us?
He had staffing changes. We were supposed to be the second week of August,
Yeah.
and he had some staffing changes. One of, I think Ariel, left the company, so, they asked if they could have another week to put stuff together, which bumps us to the first week of September.
Okay. All right. I think that was. All right.
They may have the draft to us before then.
Oh, that would
It
be
would
good.
just be
the
Public
meeting.
discussion.
Yeah, if they can get the stuff to us as soon as it's ready, that would be great, and then we'll have time to look at it. All right, next item. While they're not in attendance today, we did want to take an opportunity to recognize the retirement of 2 members of the Harbor Master's Office, Paul Stone and Claude, is it Baudet or Baudet?
Baudet.
Baudet, see? 5 years of French classes, I wanted to make sure.
You'd be pleased.
So we wish them well in their retirement, and please, relay our thanks to them for serving the community. Bion,
I have a couple of awards that I'll be sending.
excellent. Fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, let's see, now on to our action items. We have drought update. Tony.
So I sent out a draft updated press release, and in front of you is a draft backup document that I just produced. Our Lincoln Street well is back online, pumps back online. However, we are still in a declared level 3 critical drought by the state, the northeast region. Chuck's online, he can jump in too. He sent over some updated information of the Gravelly Pond level is at 26 feet. Full is 31 feet. We usually do get down to 26 feet at some point in the summer, but it's a little bit earlier this time around because of the drought and because we have been 100% of our water supply on Gravelly Pond for the last few weeks because of the Lincoln Street well being down.
So we're back up with the Lincoln Street wells back up and running.
Lincoln Street well is back up, but Gravelly Pond is a little bit lower than typical because we've been pulling from Gravelly Pond for the last few weeks.
So what is good? So
31 feet is full.
full. 31 feet is full.
26 feet isn't alarming. It's not something that is overly concerning, but we still would like to see that recharge and anticipate that it will now that Lincoln Street well is back on.
I think the fact that we were down to one water source,
Not
that's pretty good.
Demand on the system pre-water ban, we were averaging 900,000 gallons per day and sometimes over 1 million on peak days. Since the water ban, we've been routinely down to 500 to 600,000 gallons per day.
Wow.
So we thank the public, the residents, for helping assist with the demand issues that we were seeing. But in the last week or so, demands have started to creep back up a little bit to 700 to 800,000 gallons per day.
Will Chuck be shifting some of the burden of the sourcing of the water back to more than usual to the Lincoln Street well to let Gravelly Pond perhaps recover a foot or two?
Chuck?
Can you hear me?
That'll be Chuck, yes.
Yep, that's the plan, that's what we would typically do, in just regular summer, demand season, we let the well go, unless we're seeing, obvious drawdown issues, but, so we will, give some relief to Gravelly Pond, but, so I'm saying, if we start seeing, regular demand in the million plus gallons per day, like, we're not gonna see a lot of recharge if Gravelly Pond is down level, like, we'll be lucky to maintain the level.
Okay.
Jeff, anyone in the room, any board members in the room have questions?
Yeah, reading the state report, it leans fairly heavily on the fact that we're all drawing from the same river basin. And my understanding, and this is for Chuck, are we in fact in part of the Ipswich River Basin?
We are certainly not part of the Ipswich Basin, so that's not what they're trying to say, even though sometimes it seems like it. We are the North Coastal Basin, which was separate of Ipswich, but the northeast region, as is shown on the drought maps from the state, are predominantly the Ipswich and Merrimack River, those basins. So those are different sub-basins. They just, for the purposes of their drought plan and what they're talking about. They're talking about, the northeast region, and that, that's what the difference is.
So it says all sources of water, regardless of their location or type of withdrawal, ultimately draw from the same river basin. So that's just not true in our case.
I mean, I've never heard anybody say it like that, so that, I feel like that's just kind of off.
It's in their report.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to their report, I didn't get to QAQC before it went out, but yeah, I think they're reaching a little bit there, and that's not really how it's traditionally been viewed. I'm not sure what they're kind of hanging their hat on there.
Jeff, Brian, do you have any questions?
No, I just think we're under a one-size-fits-all plan, and it doesn't really apply to us, unfortunately, but.
So I have a question. So if we were running 900K to 1,000,000 gallons a day before the ban, and then we went down to 500 to 600K during the beginning of the ban, but now we've creeped up again, are we, if it stays at 700K gallons per day, are you comfortable with that recharging Gravelly Pond enough to your satisfaction, Chuck?
Right, so we get about 300,000 to 400,000 gallons a day out of the well. So if you think about it, if we're at 1,000,000 and we're drawing 300,000 out of the well, that's like 700,000. So that's going to maintain the level of Gravelly Pond. If our overall demand stays at 800,000, but we are using the well for 300,000, now we're down at 4 or 5. Now we should see a recharge of Gravelly Pond.
So I guess my
Does that make
question
sense?
is, then is if we need to maintain, if I'm hearing you correctly, we need to maintain roughly the 700,000 gallon per day usage demand. If we need to maintain that and that's what we're doing now, why are we considering loosening the ban?
I agree.
I'm just asking, I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, I'm just asking what the logic is, I'm not
Well,
following.
there is a logic that says, prior to the Lincoln Street well going down,
Right.
we said that we were not in the situation of the rest of the northeast section.
Right.
And that we were in the season when people were starting serious gardens.
Right.
And this was, we were not in this is sort of like,
We're planning ahead.
no, it's sort of like putting bricks in your toilet bowl because there's a drought in California.
We looked at what Danvers has in place, and they are on the Ipswich River, which is in more of a
Yeah, that's a
situation than we
mess.
are. And their non-essential water ban was more loose than ours.
Yeah.
They allow for filling of pools, they allow for irrigation systems, but limited to 3 times a week and in certain hours of the day.
What about the car washing?
They allowed car washing. They didn't have boat washing. But then when I looked up DEP's regulations, DEP recognizes the importance of boat washing, especially for spreading of invasive species. So we added that into the proposed ban that was in your packet.
So Chuck, if we loosen this ban and it goes back up to 1,000,000, you're good with that?
I'd like to see it stay below 1,000,000 for sure, but I think.
I guess what I'm wondering is, do we really need to allow the car washing? Do we really need to allow everything else I'm kind of fine with, but it's just really. If you loosen it, it's gonna.
Some of it was based on the conversation we had at the last select board meeting,
Yeah.
and there was concern about boat washing
I'm
and
not talking about the
gardens and
boats,
stuff,
because
so.
boats, it's boating season, you're gonna, you need to be able to rinse your engines out and all of that stuff, but. I guess the only thing I'm wondering is, are we gonna be back here in 2 weeks, or and having the same conversation. So I'd like it to be kind of one and done. So if you guys are saying this is your recommendation and you're not gonna come back to us in, you know, in a couple of weeks
We
and
just don't
revisit it
know,
again.
we just don't know like what the weather, you know, is gonna look like in a few weeks. I mean, if we're dry, if it's very dry for the next couple weeks, that changes the discussion. If it's really wet, it changes the discussion. I think it's important that we maintain some water level ban for non-essential use, and tried to put together a recommendation here that follows a neighbor who has
A more serious.
more serious
Yeah.
scenario, and also layers in the guidance that DEP publishes through their regulations on their website. I think, you know, they do not, so they have health and, you know, what's not restricted, health or safety includes outdoor uses like firefighting, municipal pipe flushing, production of food.
Rather than go through all the details, could we just do one thing to make this a little bit easier for the residents? Because there's a lot of minutia in what we're proposing tonight, which is a little bit different. Could we have one of those what's in and what's out slides, you know? Tiffany did that when we did a water ban a number of years ago. It was very clear, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do. The list of what you cannot do is getting smaller, and it would be nice just to have a standard set of collateral that if we have to tweak it, it's easy to read, easy to, for
I
people to
think
understand what they can't
this-
do.
This document, I know you just got it.
Yeah.
I think captures that pretty well. It does not include, for example, washing of vehicles unless it's to meet the core function of a business. So private washing of vehicles is not allowed.
I don't think we have a lot of people washing
No,
cars.
I don't
Yeah, I haven't
because
driven
it-
by one yet.
And I haven't seen one
30
in
years, I
years.
don't think I've
Yeah,
seen
Yes.
I don't either. So, not sure what we're banning, but if you're comfortable, honestly, I'm just not sure what we're banning. It doesn't feel like we have a ban, which is fine, but it
That's
just doesn't.
fine with me.
It doesn't feel like we have one, so
Yeah.
I just am trying to avoid some overall confusion.
It's essentially,
It's a ban in terms of time frame. That's all.
That's
yeah, essentially it's limiting the use of outdoor, of irrigation systems,
Right.
to
Tuesday, Thursday,
3 days a
Saturday, yeah.
week between, you know, prior to 8 AM and after 5 PM.
Right.
Hand watering we were allowing before.
Yeah.
We did not allow boat washing before, but now we are. We can eliminate cars from that. And
So,
then I think this explains it in more depth.
right, I just think we can simplify the communication and make it easier for the residents to follow. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents, but I'll move that the select board continue the mandatory ban on non-essential outdoor water use as described in our select board packet.
Second.
Do you want me to get rid of car?
I'm fine with the way, with the ban as you have stated it. I think the communication about what is and is not allowed could be simplified to make it easier for people to understand what they shouldn't do anymore.
We'll
But,
do that. I just,
yeah,
do you guys want?
there was no
To include
concern,
vehicle
just discussion from
washing?
the board. I didn't hear any concern expressed about car washing. Do you
I
want
don't
to
care either way, I don't think it's really
I
an
don't think,
issue.
I think it's a
If
moot
it,
point.
if it's moved, we may as well
include it?
include,
Like
it's say,
ban it?
allow it.
Allow car washing is what you're proposing.
And I'll drive up and down and I
There
will
you go.
call you when I
That's
find
it.
something,
Yeah.
I've never had a phone call.
Well, that's a simplification.
That's a simplification, okay?
Mhm.
All good? All right, ready to vote? John,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Ann,
No,
Kathy says yes. All right, next item, let's see. Waste, our favorite topic, waste and recycling curbside collection. What we got, Tony?
So we had our public forum Tuesday night We had some public input prior to that and a decent amount during and after. We also looked at what neighboring town, further looked at what neighboring town programs are offering. We did a further analysis on the projected cost of the barrels, the upfront cost of the barrels, and layered into the program that we're designing what the projected tonnage might be from the different types of barrels that you offer. We spoke with DEP, and it was confirmed that the DEP grant will only provide a grant of $30 per 35-gallon trash barrel. So they do not provide a grant for anything larger for trash or for recycling barrels, which means that full cost of those additional barrels are on the town. And so we went back and analyzed all these costs and tried to come up with the same intent of maintaining the 65-35% split between the general fund and currently fees that come from bags. And our data supported a higher fee than what we talked about Tuesday night, which ranged from $100 to $150. However, in looking at the data as to what residents most likely spend on bags today, we really felt it was important to keep that standard package low and work on some of those alternative packages and the pricing associated with that. We also talked about, on Tuesday night, we talked about offering a second, the option for residents to get a second 65-gallon recycling barrel. But once we found out about the DEP grant, and because of a lot of the comments that we heard from people about lack of space for these barrels, we changed that recycling option to the standard package being a 65-gallon, and then you have the option to go up to a 96. And then we have, for seniors or mobilely impaired, the ability to go down to a 35.
Why is the 35 the same as the 65?
We don't get any grant for a 35-gallon recycling barrel. So we still factor in that
Yeah,
price.
but you don't get any grant for a 65-gallon either. And
One thing-
they're adding less waste.
One thing we did talk about briefly to bring back to the select board once we kind of get a little bit more info on what people select was potentially an abatement for seniors on the total cost. And really that's what those barrels are for. Not to reduce the cost of reducing down to 35, but a reduction or an abatement option for the total fee.
What about abatements for other situations, edge cases, like those with the private trash pickup, but no private recycling pickup? Or private trash pickup, and, so there's an opt-out, but it's like you're all in or all out,
Yes.
and some people don't have an option, so.
Yeah, we're not considering a split between the two.
Okay.
We talked about an abatement for those with private haul, like a dumpster for
Mhm.
trash and recycling. But since they're not being charged anything at all through this program design, through these fees, there's really no abatement there to offer. If they were still being charged something,
You mean they're not being charged, like,
if you have a private hauler dumpster scenario,
Right.
You're not being charged a trash fee at all. This is only for curbside collection with the uniform barrels,
Right.
is when this fee would apply.
right, understand. But if you have private trash, but
Not recycled.
not private recycling, the town takes the recycling. What is the option there?
We don't have that option.
Okay, so so for those in that situation, we can opt in to go all in with town trash and recycling?
Yes, depending on the property type.
Mhm.
We have a max of a 4-unit building.
Okay.
anything
Well, those
larger
people
than
could still bring their recycling to the transfer station,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Right.
And again, 65, that's why it's a little bit false to say that you're not participating at all, because 65% of our trash cost is paid out of the general fund.
Right.
So in a way, most of the funding comes through real estate taxes. So everyone's contributing in one way or the other, which, you know,
For trash, that
for
makes
public
sense.
trash, public property trash
Right.
too, it makes sense.
Okay, I'm still confused. When you say that alternative 2 is for seniors, are you going to do an age check?
We could basically apply the senior abatement for real estate tax criteria.
So I'm unclear, which option are you considering an abatement for? And I'm looking at the package, I see options, but I don't see,
We haven't put that in front of you yet.
okay,
It's something that we were thinking about offering if we do a fee, that we could have a senior abatement on the fee, the total fee,
use the
regardless.
same criteria for property taxes.
Right.
Okay.
Regardless of what option you choose.
Yep.
That's something that we were discussing after the forum the other day. So as I mentioned in this memo that I provided you, the options that we're proposing in this package, the standard would be 1 35-gallon trash with 1 65-gallon recycling cart, and that annual fee is $100. Alternative 1 is if you wanted to reduce your recycling cart down to 35 gallons, but it's the same fee. Alternative 2 is maintaining that 35-gallon trash, but going up to a 96-gallon recycling, and that's $125. Alternative 3, 4, and 5 are all if you wanted to get a second trash barrel. If you get a second trash barrel in alternative 3 with the standard 65-gallon recycling, it's $175. Same thing if you were to go down on the recycling. And then the most expensive alternative would be if you got 2 trash barrels at 35-gallon each, and you upped your recycling barrel to 96 gallons. That would be $200. Essentially, the way this breaks down is a 35-gallon trash barrel equates to $75 annually, a 65-gallon recycling barrel equates to $25 annually, and a 96-gallon recycling barrel equates to $50 annually. But on the recycling side, you're replacing. On the trash side, you're adding. Again, it was really important, we thought, to keep the standard package low. If you are a resident who puts out 1 or less than 1 33-gallon orange bag on the curb per week, those households are in a spending range of $40 to $170 per year on the orange bags. So we felt $100 was an average price for folks in that category. Conversely, if you are choosing to get a second trash barrel, odds are you are producing more than 1 33-gallon orange bag per week on the curb. So for residents who are at 1.5 orange bags per week or 2 orange bags per week, they're spending $257 to $343 on orange bags per year. So even at the highest alternative at $200, it's actually a savings in that category.
I mean, this is cheaper than any other city or town around.
I did look at, one resident asked about Peabody during that forum, and I still have questions to be answered, but it looks like from the surface that they are introducing a $200 annual trash fee, and it doesn't come with the uniform barrels. They just are introducing a fee at this moment, so I haven't seen
So, I mean,
the other.
When it comes to service fees, you're usually trying to do one of two things: cover the cost of the service and or encourage a certain behavior. So with this standard option, we're trying to encourage recycling still, and encouraging people to minimize their trash. And they've got lots of options to do both.
I've talked to a lot of people and everybody said they just want this thing rolling.
Right.
And
What they
this,
do.
and the other major comment I've heard is that if we get barrels and we don't have to deal with bags, all the better. So
It is very easy.
I think once this is rolling, people will be happy with it.
Yeah.
How are we
So
going to?
Tony, if everybody goes with the default, how does the revenue situation work out? Just as an assumption.
The math, the way that we designed this program was based on the assumption that 2/3 of the town would go with the standard package.
Okay.
If 2,200 households went with the standard package at $100, we'd bring in $220,000, which is about $50,000 less than our net profit on orange bags, which is $290.
But you'll still probably get a little bit of orange bag activity for
Yes.
overflow and people who take their
Yeah.
trash to the transfer station.
Yes.
And there'll be people that would go these alternatives, so that number is only gonna go up.
Yes, this proposal, based on our projections, brought us right into a $5,000 plus or minus that 290. So if it swings a little bit, it projects $285,000 to $295,000.
How is this going to be billed?
So for anyone that gets a water sewer utility bill, this would be applied to their utility bill. For those that don't, they would get a one-time bill mailed to them. So water and sewer utility bills would be broken down into quarters.
Mhm.
So it would be split into 4 installments per year.
Any other questions for Tony?
We
Yeah, does this project trash and recycling every week or trash and every other week recycling?
This is based on every other week recycling. If the board, we did speak with Casella about including in the contract the ability to go to every week recycling if we wanted to change our mind. They said, not ideal, however, going from every other week to every week is easier for them to handle than the opposite. If we start with every week and then peel it back, that may be a non-starter for them. That additional cost is about $70,000 per year. So if you apply that 65-35 split, that 35% of 70 grand is $26,000. I would have to adjust these rates to try to bring in, an additional 26,000 if we wanted to go to every week recycling.
I mean, it makes sense to try it, and then, to your point, then if we feel it's not working, then it's easier to get it
So
back.
we can change when we want to and not at the next year?
Or did they give you a time frame? Was it 3 months?
I asked them if we would be able to do that as the start of the second year of the contract, which would be July 1st. That's the way that I talked to them about it. I think you really need to get a good case study of whether it works or not.
Yeah.
Especially over the holidays.
Right.
I think that's really important to see how folks, deal with that added level of trash and recycling around the end of the year holidays.
Yeah, that's a good point.
How are we going to know, other than emails coming to us? I assume they can keep track of barrels they pick up, because there are serial numbers on them?
They have serial numbers that are tied to the address. They're working on, outfitting their new trucks with cameras as well, so if they
That's
have,
my question, so they know what barrels they're picking up.
yeah.
So,
And they're
All right.
also, per the contract, they'd be required to tag anything that they can't collect and check off the reason why they didn't collect it. But yeah, I think for the most part, John, I think it would be from public feedback. You know,
Okay,
near the end of the fiscal year, we could ask residents for their comments as to how did this every other week recycling work out for you for the last few
So you
months?
have an out and it gets through one budget cycle as well. We probably need to get a sense though, as we're doing the budget for the following year, right? So if you do take a poll, it may need to be not towards the end of the fiscal year, but more right after the holidays or
Mm.
February, just
Yeah,
to make-
early.
Yeah. If that makes sense.
Back to your point about just getting these rolled out and getting started. We do, in order to have these distributed by the first week of September, we have to order by the end of July. Ideally for the town, having residents be able, giving them the proper amount of time to select what package they want before we order would help us with our ordering. But we can take a pretty good guess as to how many barrels of each size we think we're gonna need, put that order in by the end of July, and then still allow residents to make their selection afterwards, and then we'll program that in before they get distributed. It's just running a little bit of risk as to ordering too many or not enough certain sizes here and there.
But we can order more as we go if needed.
Yes, there is 100, I think it's 100 barrels per order, right, minimum, so we can't just say, give me 5 more of these or 2.
Right, yeah, no, I get it.
But I think we could get pretty close. I think we can get pretty close.
Are there any other key elements of the program
The other,
that was a date change?
yes, so when I spoke with Casella about how soon they can get back to the collecting recycling and trash now, before we get to the carts being distributed. They said that they would be able to do that if they could collect on Tuesday and Wednesday instead of Monday and Tuesday. They did say that long-term, they could maintain a Monday-Tuesday schedule. However, for their operations, it would work out better for their schedule if we just stuck to a Tuesday-Wednesday collection cycle. The benefit on that is we avoid,
Monday holiday
Right,
hiccups.
yes, we would not be bumped. Anytime there's a Monday holiday, we wouldn't get bumped to Wednesday, Thursday. We would maintain that Tuesday, Wednesday schedule. But it's just another change that we're putting on the residents, so,
So what you're saying is they're proposing to start picking up recycling using our current bins as long as we change our pickup schedule to Tuesday, Wednesday. And then once the bins are distributed, ideally we would keep the same Tuesday, Wednesday schedule.
right.
Okay.
And we could also start to introduce the every other week recycling in the second week of August. So that would be trash and recycling next week and the following week. And then the following week would just be trash, and then the following week, trash and recycling again. So we could
It'd be nice to
basically
have a-
introduce this
Yeah,
new.
a little chart.
Yep.
This week, this is what you're getting, this
Yep.
week, visual.
I pressed Casella pretty hard on not wanting to do weekly updates
Right.
from now until September.
Right.
And really getting a commitment,
Mhm.
and that was their response.
Okay.
I do think if we're okay with, if we prefer to avoid Monday holidays and go to a
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday schedule, it makes sense to just start introducing that now. And same thing with every other week recycling, why not just start
Going
getting
down.
into the habit?
Yep.
But we have a backlog of recycling that needs to be collected, so I said, you gotta give me at least 2 weeks of recycling collection just to get us back to.
So, one last question then regarding let's say we agree to all of this, the change in the schedule and the biweekly recycling. How does that change the Black Earth compost pickup? Does that move with us, or does that stay on Mondays? And also, what about the hours to the transfer station? Would you consider increasing those?
Right now, our transfer station is open our typical is Wednesdays
Wednesdays,
and
Saturdays.
Saturdays.
Right.
If we go to Tuesday, Wednesday curbside collection, we could move that Wednesday transfer station day to Monday.
Yeah.
But then there'll be some holiday issues, or we could move it to Thursday or Friday. So we could adjust the transfer station based on that. And I'd have to double check on Black Earth composting. It would make sense to move them with that, to move Black Earth to the same Tuesday, Wednesday schedule,
Yeah.
so that
Um,
residents are doing it all together.
So I have a question about the routes. Are the routes gonna stay the same? So in other words, the people who had a Monday pickup are gonna move to Tuesday, and the people who had a Tuesday pickup would move to Wednesday?
Correct.
Okay.
So, regarding the transfer station, has that been doing better this?
I got-
I went, it was like 5 minutes. Just
I had-
stuff.
I had-
That's great.
Great reports
Okay.
about Saturday. It wasn't nearly as long. They had 2 people working, and the bins were emptied prior to Saturday, so they lasted the entire day.
I think the problem is that very first car, that very first spot when you pull in, that car's out because of that barrier and everything, that car's out too far. So everybody's trying to shuffle around that one spot, and that seems to be the sticking point.
Need a little better direction when the cars are coming in, telling them where to park maybe. or-
Well, there's a spot there for people to unload, but the spot's not long enough, is the problem.
The spot really blocks the view of everybody in line. They can't see what's going on beyond that car.
Right, exactly. I mean, as far as the staff there is great, I mean, I went up there Saturday, everything was okay, but that, as far as the design, that seems to be a real sticking point, that very first spot.
So maybe we could take an action to just monitor the volume, just keep giving us updates at the select board meeting, on the volumes or what you're seeing, is there increased activity at the transfer station, or people putting out less recycling because of throwing more in the trash, because they're getting weekly pickup, so looking at the data, I think is gonna be important for you to help figure out what we should do going forward.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions from the board? John, do you have any other questions, comments?
No, as Jeff said, let's roll.
Just do it.
Jeff, Brian, Ann, anything else?
Good.
All right, I'll take some motions.
I move, well,
Ian's gonna-
Ian's gonna go first.
Okay. I move that the select board approve the proposed every other week recycling and collection as recommended by the town administrator.
Second.
Second.
Any other discussion? John,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Ann,
No,
Kathy says yes. So we kind of combined a couple of,
Well, we got a problem here, Kathy, because Ann,
Yeah, okay, so we still have to do the,
we have to do the
Program
motion
itself.
ahead
yes,
of,
no, yeah, I'm not, we kind of combined a couple of motions here. So,
so
I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion, the select board.
I moved the second one and I should have
Right,
moved the
so I'll
first one.
take, yeah, that's fine. I'll move the select board approve the proposed curbside program and the associated fees as recommended by the town administrator.
second.
any other discussion? John,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes,
Kathy says yes. And one
Okay.
more?
I move the select board approve the proposed Tuesday, Wednesday collection schedule as recommended by the town administrator.
Second.
Ann,
Yes,
Brian,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
John,
Yeah,
Kathy says yes. All right, we're done with trash for this meeting.
For now.
Onward, next item, early voting hours for state primary and state election. So there, you gave us the, information, this one sheet in the package, and we will have a paper item here to sign, the actual warrant. So this is just for the primary.
And the state election, so
Oh, sorry.
September 1st and November 3rd.
Oh, this is for both, okay.
Yep, and
Yep.
soon we'll be coming back for a warrant for
The general.
special town meeting in the fall with the election related to that. This is just
So
the,
this just says the primary, so this is just the September primary, it doesn't say the November general,
And
unless
state
I'm
election, no, it
missing
does.
it.
Yes.
Where is that? one?
State primary on September 1st and state election on November 3rd.
Okay,
what,
sorry,
the
what am
the
I
one that
looking
you
at?
signed.
yeah, what we're.
second
going to-
column.
That's probably
I'm
good.
sorry,
This is what we're looking at here.
oh, yeah, I'm looking at the paper we're about to sign after we vote, and I didn't see that here, so that's why I'm confused.
Another one.
So there should be another sheet that we have to sign?
There's two different warrants, right?
I would think so, yeah, two different elections,
Yeah,
two different
unless we're
warrants.
missing the general election here,
Okay,
but we're voting on
we're voting on both.
both.
But, so then we'll need to, we have plenty of time for that other one, because it's not till November, this is a little more time sensitive, okay, got it. Got it, is there any questions from the board?
No.
No, John, you good?
no, I'm fine.
Okay, I move that the board approve the early voting dates and times for the state primary and state election as presented by the town clerk.
Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, John,
Yeah,
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Ann?
Yes,
Kathy says yes. Okay. Committee appointments.
So that was that the early voting?
I'm sorry, that was the early voting, was it?
And then there's
and
one
then I
more.
move that the
Oh,
select
the
board approve
warrant,
and
thank
sign the
you.
warrant for the 2026 state primary to be held on September 1st, 2026.
Second.
John,
yeah,
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Ann?
Yes,
Kathy says yes, thank you. All right, now we're on to the committee appointments. And we have a few, so we do have someone in the room. I'd like to suggest that we have, I think, mostly advisory committees and one adjudicatory committee. I'd like to suggest that we, if there's any discussion, we discuss the advisory ones first. So there are two new members, one new member of an advisory committee being proposed, Chabaco Land Management. Natty,
Yes.
there you go. And for Harbor Advisory and Winthrop Field Committee, those are all existing members on those committees, is that correct?
For the advisory.
For the advisory committees, yes, okay. So, Kelly, you want to give us a debrief on?
Yes. You, sorry, I was going in the other order. Okay, Nathaniel, or Natty Montoya, we met early in June. He is interested in the Chabaco Land Management Committee. He's an avid trail runner, an avid user of the property, almost weekly. Has no previous municipal committee experience, however, is on the Manchester Youth Soccer Board. His wife grew up here, and they both moved back to Manchester a few years ago. He's done a lot of homework on the Chabaco Woods Committee, looked at their previous meeting minutes, and spoke a lot about, having that boots on the ground experience added into the committee, someone who's an avid user of the trail, and really tried to bring a new perspective to the committee, and one that involves, volunteering with trail maintenance and real, weekly kind of use and activity on the trails itself. Excited to learn from the existing members, understands the demand of the committee and able to meet that. And we spoke about the conflict of interest and open meeting law training that he would receive after appointment. Natty, do you want to add anything else to that?
Man, that was a very good summary of our conversation. Well, I think I realized too during the course of this meeting, the just Gravelly Pond and the effect that it has on our town is incredibly important. And I don't think I realized that until sitting here and how much discussion goes on around the drought and just how those types of conditions affect our town. So I think everything Tony said is true. I have a lot to learn, but I'm excited to step up and work with the three folks as well from the Hamilton side. I think that's kind of a unique opportunity as well. So
Thank you for coming forward as a new resident. It's really wonderful. We love to see that.
Yeah, it's great.
Does the board have any other questions or comments?
Welcome aboard.
Thank you for stepping up.
John, you
Thank
good?
you. Thank you, Maddie.
I'd like to suggest, Tony, that we take a vote on the non-adjudicatory boards, just the advisory committee assignments. Adjudicatory boards should have a little more discussion, I think.
We'll just
So,
adjust that motion.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so I'll move that the board appoint the individuals listed on the non-adjudicatory, adjudicatory
You're welcome.
boards for the terms indicated.
Second. Any other discussion? John,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ann?
Yes,
Kathy says yes. You're good to go. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
enjoy the open meeting law
Yeah.
instruction.
Well, thank you.
Okay, and we have one applicant for there are two Board of Health openings, and we have one applicant, thank goodness, this is wonderful. And I was looking at the website today just for clarification, the two people who are no longer on the Board of Health, their terms expired.
June, I think.
Yes, okay. I was looking at, I had some notes here, but I seem to have lost that. Oh, there it is. So the reason I wanted to separate the discussion here is for the adjudicatory boards. We've often talked about making sure we have the right skill set on the board. And I think it's wonderful when we have, people come forward, and I just wanted to make sure we're the chair, I presume you have contacted Peter and he's good with the applicant?
Yes.
Excellent. So regarding the candidate we have before us, I just wanted to mention too that on the Board of Health currently then we have Peter, we have Leah and Donna. Those are the remaining people on the board, and I believe, Donna was a nurse, Leah was as a physician assistant, and Peter has a science background in chem and biology, so we've got a good diversity of science and medical background on the board. So I just that's what I observed. Do you want to talk about your conversation with Marion? Is she online?
Mary's online.
Excellent.
Yes, Mary and I met later in June. Many of you are aware of her background. She has served in various roles. She was on the planning board for 8 years. She has a consulting professional background on research company. She has the comfort and confidence to come up to speed fairly quickly on issues related to the Board of Health. has spoken with current members of the board to get a better understanding. Likes how there are some pretty clear directives from the state that overlay the decision-making and jurisdiction of the Board of Health. Okay with the Board of Health schedule, they tend to meet during the day, and that wasn't an issue for Mary. Has no problem with meeting in person or hybrid. She's been in Manchester for 12 years and is familiar with a lot of the open meeting law and jurisdiction of different committees, and interested in getting on board. Mary, are you with us? Can you come off mute and add anything to that?
Hi, I'm here. That sounded good to me.
Thank you, Mary, for coming forward. Really appreciate it. Does
My pleasure.
the board have any questions or for Mary or comments? John?
No, it's fine. I know that Mary is certainly familiar with town government processes and activities, and that's certainly I think a very big plus. So, thank you, Mary, for returning.
Thanks for saying that.
Yeah, no, I agree. The comment I have is, and the reason I went through the current membership on the board is, again, for these boards that are decision-making bodies, it's important that we have the right skill set. I really like the idea of having someone on the board who represents, a resident, right? Not necessarily with a deep scientific or medical background, but someone who's trying to understand what's being proposed and would be the voice of the average resident, so to speak. I do think, though, we do have one other vacancy on the board. So Tony, you might want to talk with the chair about, is there a particular skill set they are missing or would like to have on the board? Because it's been open, been advertised for a while, so we may need to go hunt somebody down and ask them if they want to help.
Somebody's gonna need a poke for that.
When I spoke to him last, he had mentioned that there were potentially two other people
Great.
might be interested. So
I would look at the
Just gonna reach
diversity of
back out
skill
to that.
sets and the backgrounds on the whole board to make sure that they've got what they need
Yeah.
to make those decisions. That's great. All right. I move that we appoint Mary Foley to the Board of Health.
Second.
Any other conversation? All right. John?
Yeah.
Jeff?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Kathy says yes. Congratulations, Mary. Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, next time I gotta bring the right glasses. Temporary art installation approval at Reed Park.
Elisa is with us. I think we've all been briefed on her vision and hope for. Oh, I thought I lost the Zoom for a second. And her hope to install the Tidekeeper Atlantis mermaid statue in the harbor. As she is working through the permitting and engineering elements of installing that in the harbor, she has sought out a temporary location at Reed Park and has received an approval from the Conservation Commission because Reed Park does fall under their jurisdiction for permitting with a 1-year permit for this temporary installation. It is now seeking approval from the select board. Since the select board are the caretakers of this public property, it does need your approval. And right before the meeting started, she sent over the insurance certificate that we require for this type of project.
Okay, questions from the board?
No, it's glad to see this moving along, so.
No.
Where in Reed Park?
Oh, right here.
Where exactly in Reed Park?
So, Red Snack Avenue.
I have printed the documents they presented to the Conservation Commission where there is like a marker, so.
Oh, okay, so,
Thank you.
I'm not a big fan of vacation.
And how, could you remind us of the dimensions of all?
Yes, so the base, the sculpture is like 5 feet tall in a seated position. And the base is a little more than a foot on one side, because it's a boulder, so it's not exactly the same height everywhere, and it's a foot on the other side.
But how tall, what's the height?
She's a little over 5 feet
A little over 5 feet.
From the base.
On the
from
ground or from?
no, the mermaid, I'm just talking about.
Oh,
Just
okay.
the whole
whole
The whole
statue.
statue is probably
8
6 feet, 6 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's not.
I'm not wild about lighting it at night.
No, that's like it's a render, there is no lights at night. If we want to have a little solar powered thingy that points, but there's not gonna be any,
Okay.
No electricity.
no.
So how long do we anticipate it's gonna take to get the necessary permits for the more permanent installation?
So the DEP says that from when we have all the documentation, it takes from 4 to 6 months. Once she's installed, I am going to start working with, we're working already with a marine engineer. And we need a structural engineer to do like the study of the area. So once we have those once we have those documents accomplished, also we need the Coast Guard approval, and we need the Army Corps approval. So Brian maybe knows the timeline for those two better than me, because,
The Army Corps should be faster than DEP.
okay.
Best guess, Bion?
I would say probably the same as Reed Park, that was 3 or 4 months.
Like, would
Not
we,
Reed Park, I'm sorry, Text Point.
so could we anticipate installing this in the harbor, assuming she received the required approvals next summer?
If DEP, yeah, I think DEP is the real challenge, and if you can get over that hurdle, then next summer.
Is there any concern about kids climbing all over it? That's kind of my question. I mean, I have a 3-year-old, I just took her to Reed, 3-year-old granddaughter, I just took her to Reed Park this past weekend, and she'd be all over that thing. Kids climb, so I'm just
Yeah, I
wondering.
mean, that's a good point, I didn't even think.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a play structure.
So, I
Much
mean,
as that, you know.
I initially thought that it was gonna be installed for the purpose of our Festival by the Sea, so everybody in town could see it. I honestly didn't realize we were asking for a full year install in the park. That's kind of, I didn't anticipate that. How does the board feel about that?
I mean, yeah, it's semi-permanent, I guess, but I don't really have a problem with it. I mean,
I personally would like to have seen it tucked a little further away from the middle of the park itself, but that's my only angst.
I think I agree with you if it was gonna be a real permanent structure, I mean, but.
I heard John, did you want to make a
Yeah,
comment?
there is, there will be kids that will be climbing on this, but of course, we do have the memorial statue that's also in Masconomo. That's a much bigger statue, and people sit around the base, and kids do walk around on it and touch it. There'll be a novelty thing here, because this didn't exist there before. The other one's been there since, well, I don't know how long, day one, long time. So there's that. I know that Lisa does have the certificate of insurance to cover any issues that might arise from that, but it's not a giant statue that you're falling, falling off of here. It's pretty close to the ground. So, and, the approvals take time, and I know that Lisa has dealt with all the appropriate people in terms of gaining the approvals that are needed. DEP is the key thing. So I'm certainly hopeful and confident that things will happen and this gets installed next spring where it belongs.
Where exactly, I did bring the wrong glasses today, so I apologize. Where exactly is this in Reed Park? Is it near the,
So it'd be about halfway down the path and off to the left a little.
halfway down the path?
We're also open to suggestion if you guys prefer. But that's what was proposed. I know we need to keep 10 feet from
So
the walkway.
the walkway to get to the temporary docks, this would be on the left side?
Walking down on the left,
Yes,
at least 10 feet away from the walkway.
yes. Where there's that beautiful tree.
How far is it? Is it under the drip line of the tree?
Under the,
Outer branches of the
Yeah.
tree?
yes, I'd say so.
Yeah.
At least the rendering shows it that way.
Are you wondering if it would
Compress the
hurt the
roots?
tree? Yeah. How much does this weigh? How much does the,
So the base is the granite.
the whole thing, yeah?
The whole thing is probably going to be 6,800 pounds, 6,600 pounds approximately, because the granite base is 6,000 pounds and it's 4 feet by 3 feet basically, and it's a little bit over a foot high.
See, what I'm uncomfortable with is, I'm kind of agreeing with Brian, I'm a little uncomfortable with the location. Not having, was there a landscape designer consulted at all? It's a very big thing in the middle of the park. So I'm just wondering, was a landscape designer consulted at all? We're gonna have the Festival by the Sea event.
Well, I think that they probably coordinated, because the chamber is the one that
It's
announced
been,
this, right?
yes.
Well, I don't care what was announced, that's not the issue.
No, but I'm
right?
saying is the chamber was involved, has been involved with this for a while, so.
I understand, but they're only there for one day, so.
No. As far as the
Placements.
tents and the placements, by the way, I have reserved a spot for this again. So, anyway, which one, sir?
Yeah.
No, I mean, Reed Park is not a heavily landscaped park.
Yeah, I'm not looking at.
I mean, if we're concerned about tree roots and you guys have an idea where we could move it to, I don't know, but.
John, did you have any other comments or questions?
No, I don't know about this tree roots thing. This is a temporary installation, and I'm not worried about tree roots for a number of months. If this was like 10 or 15 years, maybe this is a problem for a tree, but I don't think this is gonna be a factor, for that period of time, if in fact it is a factor at all, for that sort of thing. There isn't any excavation that's involved here.
Was, only thing that I was, and it looks like, if I remember correctly, where the planned installation of the sewer connection for Reed Park Float expansion is to the right of the path. Is that correct? So I think, so that is,
Okay.
that was
Would
a
make
concern
sense.
we wanted to avoid
Then with that, I'm
that
fine.
side.
Okay, I'm good. 'Cause that's what I'd want to put it down there, but it's gonna impact our long-term plans, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I think Elisa, certainly she was in touch with the DPW, and I think I saw some sort of an email about that discussion, because it's possible they could be dealing with something along those lines, with that issue, within the next year. And they
Yes.
needed to have access with regard to what that pathway might be.
I'm good.
I could have DPW meet with Elisa out there, stake out where the proposed spot is, have them double check that it's not gonna interfere with any current or future utility needs, and then could have the tree warden
Mhm.
take a look at, proximity to the tree roots
Yeah.
and see if any flags are raised.
Is this decision time sensitive?
Yes, because of the obviously previously announced.
Well, this is,
What does it
this
take
is what I'm
to,
getting at.
if there is, let's say we approve it for the purpose of the event, okay? But don't want to sustain it there for an entire year. What is involved in moving it out?
Mike McCarrican is the one that like is donating his time and machinery to do this, and he has been doing a lot of work for the town. I don't think it's something that we would like to do just for an event, because the goal of having her as a temporary location is this. I opened this nonprofit to do this gift for the town, and I've been working really hard to raise the money to make this happen, because only the bronze casting is 30,000, which I was able to raise so far. And I was hoping that having her in the temporary location would get the town even more excited and involved, and help a little bit in the fundraising to pay for the Chapter 91 and everything else, because it's a community effort. It's a gift for the town, but it is also a community effort. I've been doing a lot of work, but without the community, I don't think I can do this. It has to be like the whole town, getting together to make this happen. So that was the idea of the temporary location. So she already feels like she's part of the town. People can start enjoying her presence, and then following the journey from land to water and making it special, knowing that she's there, but she's not meant to stay there, but she's going to be then in Masconama Park. So that's the idea around the temporary location. That would not make sense if it was just for the Festival by the Sea, which, by the way, they're casting her now, and I'm not sure she would be done for Festival by the Sea, I hope, but if it's to rush the production of doing this to have her ready for Festival by the Sea, I will not rush it. So I'm going to the founder basically every day to make sure that we move forward, but it's a very time-consuming process, bronze casting. So there's welding, there's pouring, there is sanding, there is
So, all right.
I'm good. At this point, I'm good.
Yeah,
I would like to amend the approval to say that it will not be lighted.
And pending approval
By
by
the
the tree warden
The tree warden, yeah.
and a review by the DPW.
There's also one hand raised from a resident.
I just want to make sure we get through the board. Thank you. Any other comments from the board before we take public input? Okay, who would like to make a comment, Tony?
Rick, your hand is raised. Did you want to comment on this agenda item?
I do. Hi, Rick Rogers, 82 Old Essex Road. I think I know everybody here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So I have a couple concerns with making this permanent. And I know that's not what's on the agenda today, but I just kind of like to raise these couple of points and for response or comment. So I think, I'd first like to say I love our local artists and art and artisans, right? So I support the town supporting them in this sort of temporary nature. But I think considering a permanent installation is a little bit of a slippery slope, right? What is the cutoff?
So, Mr. Rogers, excuse me, if you're about to make a comment about the installation in the harbor,
Yeah.
is that where you're going?
Yes, right. So the intent here is to make this permanent, and I kind of have some concerns about that.
I appreciate that. I think this is not, unfortunately, the time, based on what's on the agenda. We're deliberating on a very specific issue. So we're not going to be talking about the permanent installation tonight.
So
talking
can we
about the
talk then, what would be the outcome of a temporary installation?
Well, we're trying to get through the temporary installation first, and then there would, once the permits are approved, then we would be having a meeting on accepting the gift, I presume, Tony, is that the process?
That's
If I'm
correct.
misunderstanding the
Yeah.
process, please let me know.
Yes, I mean, there's permitting for the harbor, permanent installation includes a whole nother round of process with the state. I think it would trigger planning board, it would trigger Concom again. So there'll be additional public, meetings related to that permitting process. And then the select board, of course, would have to, accept the gift.
Right.
Technically, I think, Brian, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but depending on the final installation point in the harbor, it wouldn't necessarily be the select board, town property. That would fall under state jurisdiction, right? Depending on where it actually ends up, if it's on the wall or, anyways,
So, yeah,
certainly the select board would
Mr.
have to
Rogers
accept
is-
the gift.
yeah, so I think Mr. Rogers is making a very important point. We gotta be clear on what the process is, so that residents have an opportunity to comment at the right time. What's being asked of us tonight is to approve a temporary art installation at Reed Park.
Mhm.
That's where I'd like to keep the discussion. It sounds like it's going to have to go back to Concom or Planning Board for the permanent? Is that what I'm hearing?
I think it will,
Okay, I was not aware of that, okay.
because I believe planning board has,
I think Bion has
Go
a
ahead.
clarification.
DEP, I mean, you've got your town boards, but DEP has very clear comment period.
Okay.
For all of their projects, where
Okay,
people get to, a period of time where they get to write in, comment positively, negatively on the merits of the project.
so what would trigger the public comment period?
So DEP, that's a public notice, and folks are encouraged to submit comments.
So, but what would trigger that is it
the application of the chapter
Yeah,
91.
filed for the
Yeah.
chapter 91?
Yeah.
So what I'd like to suggest, Mr. Rogers, is that we make sure the public here in the town is notified of that application submittal, so that the public comment on the permanent installation, can happen at the appropriate time. Right now, we're trying to figure out how and if we allow it at Reed Park.
I appreciate that, and I missed what Bion said. Could someone just kind of recapitulate for me?
Sure, so buying here.
I think the microphone is over here.
Oh, it is, okay.
Sorry for the
Brian was
technical
just-
issues.
Brian was just talking about the DEP public comment period triggered by the chapter 91 permit application. And Kathy was suggesting that we make sure that the public is aware of that process once it is established.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, I appreciate the time, I just didn't want to miss the opportunity. So if
Absolutely.
the opportunity still remains, then we're good.
Absolutely. No, we just want to make sure the comments come in at the right time and to the right parties. Thank you. Thank you for speaking up. Is there anyone else, Tony, who would like to speak
Yes.
up from the public?
Yes. S. Rogers,
Sandy Rogers?
must be. Sandy?
Or was that Rick? Or was Sandy's name?
No, it was a different,
She find out, me, give 1 second.
Okay. Is there anybody else? Well,
Hello.
hi, Sandy?
Yes.
Hi, yes. Could you please identify yourself? I should have asked Rick to do that. Street address for the record.
I think he did, but
Oh, I'm
Sandy
sorry.
Rogers, 82 Old Essex Road.
Thank you.
I want to say that I agree that you should have the town warden, town tree warden, not town warden, make sure to check the space. I'm not sure how big the base is, but hopefully the fundraising that this artist is going to be doing should hopefully cover any damage to the property or the lawn. If this is gonna be out there for potentially a year or more, with months, I don't know how big of a space it is, if that's something that the town can readily cover. And also I agree with the safety issues, if it's a 5-6 foot type of sculpture, there could be a lot of, activity around it. And so we'll wanna make sure that it's in a safe place. So just wanted to add those comments. That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Tony, any,
That's it.
that's it? Okay. Anything else from the board? I'm gonna ask that, I think you made some adjustments to a potential motion. Tony, if you can read those back. I would also, before you do that, like to suggest, this is something very new for us, and I would like to suggest that you come up with a contingency plan for moving the statue should it become necessary for whatever reason.
Of
For
course.
whatever, we can't foresee, your plan is wonderful as far as introducing her to the town and moving her from land to water, et cetera. We don't know what the reaction is going to be, right?
Of course.
So, and because it's something very unique that people are not expecting in the park, because it's designed to be in the water, we don't know what the reaction is going to be. So I would ask that you just
Of course.
come up with a contingency plan should something be necessary.
I think that as she come in, the way she comes in, that's the way she will move out.
Right.
So, and we will take care of Mike is used to working with the town, so he said that he's going to put rags when he's going to install the sculpture, so there's not gonna be damage on the grass or anything. And of course, we will take care of putting everything back the way it was
Thank you,
after she's moved.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Tony?
Kathy,
Oh, sorry,
do you want to phrase this motion that we're not giving permission for a year?
Yeah.
We are giving, we reserve the right to revoke
Mhm.
during the year?
I think the
Up to.
motion was up to a year, and
Yes.
we reserve the right to revoke such permission,
Yes.
et cetera. So you had a couple of conditions. I think Tony was taking good notes, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna rely on him to relay a good motion to us. How's that?
I think up to 1 year covers, I think you always have the authority to revoke if you need be. I think we can keep it, for the record, that we're not approving lights. We don't have to include that in the motion here. If we wanted to include lights, I think we would add it to the motion unless you feel strongly about
Well,
having it
it's
in the
just
motion. Yeah,
It's just a
The picture has lights, so it's okay to be clear. I
okay.
can say no lights.
Sorry for the lights.
All right, so Jeff, I'll read it, and if you want to say so moved. It would be, I move that the board approve the temporary installation of Atlantis, the Tide Keeper sculpture at Reed Park for up to 1 year without lights and subject to DPW and tree warden approval.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? John,
Yeah.
Jeff,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Kathy says yes.
Good.
Good luck,
Thank you so much.
good luck.
Good.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to seeing it.
Thank you. All right, next item, mooring assignment transaction report. For discussion.
All right, if I may.
Yes, please.
When we passed the harbor master section of the bylaws, there were 3 legs for transparency. One was waiting lists, and there are several different kinds of waiting lists, but waiting lists dated, mooring assignments, and a transaction log which showed when a mooring was assigned, to whom, and reasons. When a mooring was given up, by whom, and that doesn't require a reason.
It does not say that in the regulations here.
This is, the regulations say, he shall post lists of all mooring permits, including mooring number, sticker serial number, which we don't have anymore, permit holder and boat name, and all waiting lists, and all mooring assignment transactions.
That's what it says.
Yep.
So we discussed this at the briefly at the last meeting. I asked where we were on publishing the transaction list because I see Brian at the back of the room holding it up.
That is not what was presented to the town. Having a single reason as part of the mooring list was not what the town voted for.
So can I,
Kathy, can I ask her to elaborate on that, because I do not understand that.
Yes.
When the Harbor Master section was presented to the town meeting, the discussion involved what the three legs of transparency were.
Right.
And that was a separate transaction log, not an addendum to one of the other lists.
Right, it was a transaction. The wording here is all mooring assignment transactions, so a log. And when I
But
asked
see, it does not say a log.
assignment transactions.
Yeah.
And when I asked the question 2 weeks ago, I guess, Tony, I thought you indicated that such a document does exist, but it was not posted on the website. Did I hear that correctly?
Correct.
Okay, so is it on the website now, or is it still just in paper form outside?
It's on the website now.
Okay.
And then what was added in your packet is not. What's in your packet is a draft
Yeah,
alternative.
that's not a transaction log, the transactions. So I'm on the website right now, real time,
If you
in
go
the
to
harbor.
mooring, if you go to list resources,
Departments,
User
Harbor.
mooring reassignment.
well, I don't know if that's on, that's the mooring list, right, with it,
This
with
is
the
what
added.
went to Tiffany.
Oh, okay.
It's on, that's what's on there, but it's not in the same order.
lists and resources. And there's mooring assignment July 2026, is that, what's the link that I should click on that has what you are claiming to be the
I don't-
assignment transactions?
I don't do posting, I don't access the
Okay.
posting.
I'll
Tony will answer the
1
question.
second.
Thanks.
Harbor. Lists and resources. Mooring assignment, July 2026.
That's,
So if you click on that link,
okay,
what's been added, so this is what Ann's speaking to.
okay,
What's been added to the mooring assignment list is this far right column,
reassignment type,
reassignment type.
okay.
And
It's not a transaction.
that's not a
It's not a
transaction.
transaction, yeah. So I think, and Brian and I have talked about this before, this is a language issue. I truly believe this is someone speaking Greek and somebody else is speaking Chinese issue, a different language. I come from a technology background and a finance background. And I think you have your husband has a
I have a
technology, you have a
technology
technology background too. Transaction, this document that I'm looking at right now, I would describe it as the result of an outcome of a transaction taking place.
Mhm.
It is not the transaction. A transaction should have the word add, change, delete.
And it should have the position, the date that the person, if it's from a waiting list, it should have the date that the
Yes.
person went on the waiting list.
That if
Well,
you
that's
ask
on
a finance
Yeah, that's
professional,
on the wait list.
On the wait list, the
But-
date they went on.
so one at a time, I'm sorry, Bion,
The dates that they went on the wait list
Yeah.
are on the wait wait lists.
I understand. It's,
So you're asking for all these documents and then a separate document with all the same information on it.
it's different, they serve different purposes. The purpose of a transaction document is for ease of traceability and audit, so that if questions arise, it's very easy to determine what
If-
happens. That's why it's heavily used in technology and finance, so you can diagnose what happens.
Okay,
So-
let me ask this question. Why does it need to be in a separate format than the software that we paid for that everybody said was gonna fix this problem?
So that's an excellent question, because I thought that was one of the reasons we were going to the software, was to help us with the transaction log. The software should have some sort of a transaction, and I will use the term log, because that's what's commonly used. Is this coming from the new software package, and does it have the ability to produce an audit trail of some type?
Well, we'll start with the first question.
Yeah.
Is this produced by the new software? And the answer is no.
Okay,
The soft,
okay, let Ian, yeah,
until you tell me this.
yeah, I'm sorry, your question.
My question is, I'm sorry we bought software that doesn't meet the requirements of our bylaw.
The problem is our bylaw doesn't reflect what you guys want. It's not clear, I don't care, this is not clearly spelled out. We had this conversation before, and I brought up the fact that if we want something, we should have a policy and it should be spelled out exactly what we want. And the rest of the board told me, we're gonna leave it up to the discretion of the harbor master, and that is how it was left. And this is exactly what happened, and now you're telling him, or someone is telling the harbor master that he is not doing his job, and that is
I think,
untrue.
I don't think I will just speak for myself, Jeff, I'm not saying.
And I'm not
is
saying that
doing
you are. There is a limited amount of people that are saying the harbor master is not doing his job, and that is false.
Again, I agree with that, because I have no evidence to the contrary. However, having done this type of thing for many decades, I will tell you flat out, I've seen this 100 times. This is a communication issue. And to make it go away, which I personally would love to have
Me
it
too.
go away, I find it very hard to believe that in the year 2026, the software that you bought cannot produce a transaction log. I think now I'm gonna let you speak in 1 second, Bion, absolutely. I have to believe that it can produce it. I don't see it here. Perhaps it's in process or in work, or I don't know. But I have a hard time believing that. Bion, what would you like to say?
There are 3 different softwares the communities use. One of them you had when I started, which could in no way, shape, or form produce any reports, documents, lists, transaction at all. We got rid of it. I introduced and we used a product that I brought with me from Kittery has all of the data for 15 years. It can create these reports that extracts data from the database. None of the 3 products, can produce these products, and I didn't want any of them. I was told we needed to have one. So we ended up
Are you
with.
holding up what we're seeing
No,
from the link?
I'm holding up the reassigned list. Transactional list, reassignment list.
So.
None of these products can produce what you want. If you want to be able to produce in-house, transparent, clear, where you can go back to the database and follow the trail to the beginning, is going to be an in-house specifically designed product that can produce the things that you want.
So I don't want to solution it here, because then we get into all sorts of other issues. But if you're saying the software can't do it, then I believe you, it may not have been structured to do that. However, that doesn't mean that transactions can't be produced. So what I think we have here personally is a disconnect between the words in the bylaw and what we're producing.
So I guess
Now,
the
you can
question
do
is,
one of
excuse
two
me, the
things.
question I have.
Yeah.
It should be on us to make a clear policy
Yeah.
for, and not just the harbor, any of our department heads.
Absolutely.
This document should stand on its own, and it does not. And I've been
This
on
is
a
not-
policy committee
This is
on the
not a
school
policy,
system
this
for
is a,
10 years.
this is not a policy, this is a bylaw, and the policy supports the bylaw. So if we need a policy to support and clarify the bylaw, then we should work on coming up with such a policy.
That's what I agree. I think that, and Brian, I want to make sure you have an opportunity here,
Just
but I
a
think
question.
there's a disconnect
I
between
hear
what's
that.
written and what's.
I hear that. My concern is is the information, you just have to go look for it. The information's available.
Yeah.
Okay, there is no freestanding, okay, so reality here is we're meeting the intent of the bylaw. The information is there. How you cull through it to get it is the question, okay? So
It's difficult, yes.
okay, but yet it's available. There is transparency here. It's difficult transparency, but it's
Yeah.
transparency here. So I think to Jeff's point, there's nothing here that is not what, there's nothing nefarious here. Everything's here. We just have to know how to look for it. I'm not a computer geek.
So.
I'm not a computer geek. I don't know how to make that happen.
Okay, so just for clarification, there has been, in this discussion here, there has been no one suggesting that anything nefarious has been done in this conversation. So I
This
just wanna be,
conversation, yes, in
this
this
conversation,
conversation.
so let's keep it simple. And you had another comment.
It's blown out of my head.
Okay.
Just,
Well, my mother said
you
it.
would not disagree that there have been people there has been at least one person who has looked
I
at
can
these
think of
lists
two, yeah.
and has not been able to make the connections that you say are obvious.
I'm not saying it's obvious,
I'm not
but
saying it's obvious. I'm telling you, I wouldn't know how to find it if I wanted to.
Let
I don't
me-
want to.
Okay,
Let-
one at
let-
a time, and then I'm
Here's-
gonna let Bion speak in a minute. I wanna, Jeff first, then I would like John, if he has any comments, I
Yeah.
can't see his face. I apologize, John, we can't
Okay.
see you, so just let Jeff make one comment, then it's your turn.
We can on and on and on try to make the strictest policies be the most transparent. But at the end of the day, it's up to residents and staff, department heads to get together when there is a problem or there is a question. You don't sit home and micromanage our harbor from your computer. If I have a question and I look at something, I say, gee, that doesn't look right. I call up Brian, I go down to Brian, I've been down to his office a million times, and I say, hey, what's this? Why is this way? I might not get the answer I want, but I understand what that answer is when I leave. And this is part of this process. This process is not for residents to sit at home and make decisions on what we do based on what is online. There needs to be a communication between residents and department heads. And I understand in this particular situation that communication is broken down, okay? But that is not, I don't know whose fault that is, okay? But there needs to be conversations to figure out what's going on and not just off a piece of paper.
Thank you, Jeff. John?
Okay, yeah. Kathy, I think early on you made the comment that far right column is a result of transaction, which I think is what most people are interested in. If they have questions, they want to know how did you get there. Bion has all of the information. This is how we got there to this particular result. I don't think he has very many people coming to him on an annual basis or even ever asking what's going on with this or with that. I think most people are interested in the result, and if they have questions, they will come to him. So from a pragmatic perspective, I think we are where we need to be. And all of the detail, which I have no reason to believe that Bion does not have, but it is behind all of the stuff that produces that result is there if somebody wants it, and they can ask him for that. But I don't think those conversations are very frequent.
Ion, would you like to make another comment?
I would love to. This one sentence bylaw dictating what the harbor master is supposed to produce, with no other direction, leads me to want to produce a product people can look at and say, of this person, this date, this reason, I disagree with that, or I'm concerned about that. I'm gonna go down and I'm going to mine the 15 years of saved archived data to find out exactly why that transaction happened. This is a tool so people can look at a mooring and feel comfortable that it passed for the appropriate reason. The transparent reason, parent, wait list, change list, where they were on the, it's all the data. You have all of the data. I have saved it all. I have created it because there was no process. There was nothing here. And to have repeated attacks that I have not produced what's on here with zero guidance, nobody coming to my office and saying, listen, can we, I apologize, Tony has been really good about saying, can we add a whole date rather than just a year? Yeah, that's exactly the kind of input
So
that I would have welcomed
okay,
over
well,
the last 2 years.
so just, I understand this is an emotional issue. I just want to clarify one thing, Bayan. I did sit in your office, and every time we talk about this subject, I do give guidance, and I apologize if it's not clear. A transaction contains some sort of event, either add, change, delete, and what was added, what was changed, or what was done. That is a transaction in the purest sense of the word, based on many different professional domains. Okay, so please don't say that no one has come to you to give you guidance. I have tried and I have failed. I apologize for failing, but I have tried, okay? I think this is enough discussion for tonight, but we have a disconnect, Tony, between, I'll say, our record keeping and how our record keeping is presented versus the wording in the bylaw. There is a disconnect there. And there's a difference in language. Until you can change the bylaw, okay, and get rid of that word, transaction list, that'll solve the problem too. Okay, but there is a difference between what we share publicly versus what's in the bylaw.
I think there's some middle ground.
I hope so.
The bylaw is 4 words that cover this subject. So I agree that the select board should, if they want a certain information on a report, it should be voted on by the select board so it's clear and agreed upon. Because when it's left to discretion and then later criticized, that's unfair.
Correct, I agree.
Number 2, I think that some of the information on this request to be included in a transaction report goes too far. I think that the transaction report that we can produce in-house because the programs aren't able to do that can get to the core goal of that report that has a result-based explanation of how someone acquired a mooring, came from the wait list on this date. We can add the date that they were originally on the wait list to the transaction report, but that's also on the wait list report. So,
So
but
I'm
I
gonna
don't, but I just wanna be clear.
Yeah.
And I feel I need to be clear.
Yeah.
Reason for revocation, reason for reassignment, that type of information is where you would go to the harbor master to understand why did this result occur? Including all of that information on this transaction report, it builds it too far out. I also think, I think that we have to be just clear on what the expectation is.
So
I don't think that
Right.
I don't think that it's solely a communication issue. I think that there is a small amount of folks who are raising this issue, which doesn't mean it's invalid. We have a bylaw, and we have to meet the bylaw, that's a fact, and we have to do that. So how we want to do that, I think we just gotta be clear on. But I don't think that this should turn into a heavy, large assignment for a minimally, a department that has no real administrative staff to it. And I don't think it should turn into a report that explains every detail of why a transaction occurred. I think it should be a results-based report.
So let me offer the following suggestion. We have in front of us a suggested transaction format, okay? I'm going to ask Tony and the harbor team to, in writing, amend this format to what you can reasonably produce with the information we have. I still am crazed to think that the software can't produce something, but in writing, why don't you respond to what you think you can do fairly, reasonably, and then we'll see if it meets the need. And if not, like I said, the bylaw can always be changed. If we don't want transactions, that's fine. But record keeping, it's been my experience working with governments for many decades. Record keeping is important for transparency and oversight. And so it can get, like you're saying, incredibly arduous. It can get incredibly arduous. However, we ought to take an attempt to, give it a shot. And I would just do it
As
in,
long as
I
it's
think we
fine
should
that-
figure out what our policy is first.
well, unless we're gonna do, let me ask, was that town meeting recorded? Did they record town meetings at that time?
Well, there's gonna be a transcript.
Okay, that would answer your question, Jeff, if you wanna take a look at that, what was
I
the
would
intent?
love to take a look at that.
Okay. then-
2011.
Okay, 2011, but I think we have a proposed transaction format in front of us. There are perhaps very good reasons why we can't do it exactly this way. Propose an alternative in writing and let's take a vote. I mean, John will be at the next meeting, he'll be chairing the next meeting, he may want to handle it differently. But right now.
I think you're on the right track.
I just wanna, I think I'll ask Bion to make one more comment, then I'd like to really move on the discussion, if that's okay with folks. Move on to the next agenda item. Okay, Bion.
So using the Access database that was developed when I started here in 2012, we can actually extract probably any and all data that's needed. It's just the software that we purchased cannot.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
these reports that I post, they all come from the existing Access database. So
That's good to know, thank you. I think, once again, as long as the data is there, to your point, there's many different ways to get data out of databases, and we'll see how it happens. But would that be satisfactory if they, in writing, respond and?
I don't think I get to say what's satisfactory.
Let's give it a shot and see how it works, how's that?
I just want to say that we have spent way too much time
Well, we're
as
gonna,
a board
I just,
on this, okay?
I
To appease a very, very small group of people,
well,
okay? So, and that's, it shouldn't rise to this level
And
at
I'm
this
trying to
point.
move us along. Would you like to?
And I just wanna make that statement, okay?
Okay.
2011?
2011 town meeting. I also want to add, just in closing, Ann is not the only one that's bringing this forward.
That's what I'm saying, small group of people.
Okay, but I just want that to be clear too. All right. All
I
right,
know of 2 people.
That's
next,
already.
next item. All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Bion, for hanging in there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, liaison updates. Jeff?
No.
Do you want me to move on to someone else while you gather your notes?
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
sure.
I'll come back.
Ryan, do you have anything?
Not really, as far as Concom, SLB was before the Concom, I have heard on a couple of different, occasions, the question asked, why isn't it in person, why is it totally virtual? And I wish I knew the answer, okay? And again, I'm gonna say it again, I think we have to visit that, and we have to visit soon. And as far as, the, Parks and Rec, nothing really to report, there's, they had the summer's going pretty well. And, I think that Tony had also put something in the package about a group that went to, for Wi-Fi on the beach. They went,
Yes.
that way that made it through the, Parks and Rec committee, and it's here now.
Very good.
Okay.
Ann?
The school committee is meeting. The Board of Health had a meeting a day or two recently to discuss their fees, and I blew it off.
Okay.
Good for you.
Those 8:30 meetings can be tough.
The Finance Committee met, and several of us were there. And first approved a bunch of transfers, discussed the reasons for needing transfers and the source of the transfers, and how things were, where the guardrails were. They then talked about the sanitation contract and the effect of the budget, and capital items and what was in the contract, and briefly on the launch service, where the reservations were. And that's what I heard from the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Jeff?
The planning board had a public hearing for One Deer Hill for a site review on building a 2-family house up there, or 2 multi-family units, I should say. They had another public hearing for 214 Summer for a special permit for a new dwelling there. And they're continuing their discussion on housing production plan, working on the preliminary draft for that. I can't talk.
You haven't really had time tonight.
Essex Tech, we finished our evaluation for our superintendent, Dr. Riccio, who received a grade of exemplary, which is great. Yeah, that's not hard to achieve, especially in a tech school. So, and we've finished all our handbook changes for the 26-27 year, and just a bunch of business as usual. And the harbor, we've heard enough of that, so that's it.
I would agree with that. Thank you.
I
John?
see your name here at all.
DPW was on the agenda quite a bit tonight, so I think we're up to date with what's going on there. Historic District Commission had a meeting last week. They are considering hiring a consultant to really determine what the interest is in historic preservation in general in our town, because they're looking at possibly expanding the historic district and also a demo delay consideration. There are a number of locations scattered throughout the town that could be filed for natural historic places such as Tuck Point, et cetera. Do we want to go through the initiative to try and make that happen? So there's in general some questions that need to be asked of the resident, just what the interest levels are. So they'll be speaking with a consultant who's an expert in getting those kinds of answers next week. This person will be coming by that meeting. Library, it was business as usual, and Council on Aging, no major developments there that I'm aware of. Was not there to chat with them today. So that's it.
Thank you. I have a few updates from the Facilities Planning Committee. We met last week. We are working a few changes to our charter now that we've been meeting for a while, and we should be able to come back to the select board with those changes in August. More refinements around when we should engage, when we should not engage, et cetera. The team has also created a list of facilities and projects and is working to place them on a timeline so that we can better prioritize our effort and then come back to the select board and the FinCom to maybe ask about priorities when there's, because we were really driving towards getting up and running on the DPW police and fire analysis, but there were other projects that came, I hate to use the word distraction, but that's the only word that comes to me at 8:30 at night. The other projects came and kind of interrupted that work. They were a little more time sensitive, like the Seniors Community Center and the Singing Beach Bathhouse are two examples of that. So we had a long conversation about how should we be prioritizing our time and are we working the right priorities. So the team is, I think it's Gordon, along with Chuck and Nate are gonna put on a timeline what we think we're working when, so that we can all get on the same page and take a look at it and say, are we working the right things in the right time? The other item from facilities planning is the DPW is seeking feedback on whether it's beneficial to conduct a study on town-wide solar. So with all of these buildings we're talking about renovating or adding or whatever, the DPW is wondering how hard we should go after solar. And apparently there is, some investment required to do that analysis, et cetera. So what we asked, we don't know what the, it kind of seems similar to the comment John was making about what's the town's temperature regarding expanding the historic district. So what's the town feel about, going more heavily into solar? One option we discussed was asking the Sustainability Committee or Concom to do a poll, but a formal poll, which would be either a citizen petition on the town meeting so we could have a discussion about it, or, a non-binding ballot item, to just kind of take people's pulse and what do you think about this? So I believe a couple of members of the Facilities Committee took the action to take this commentary back to their committees so that they will take the action on taking the temperature of the town regarding solar, and then we'll go from there. And then I think the last item I had was on the, so both the downtown improvement and the bike and ped committees are interested in advising the town on improving the sidewalks and pedestrian safety on Central Street from Pine to Elm. And based on what we're hearing from the DPW, either the culvert, piggybacking on the culvert project, or, the Bennett Street utilities project would be the time to, kind of take a look at that area. So they just want to make sure that those committees are engaged and advising before we rip up the streets and decide what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. So they're working together, which is nice, because then the DPW will hear, a cohesive set of feedback instead of going back and forth to different committees. Nate mentioned that there may be a potential traffic study in that area in the not too distant future, and we did question the timing of it. It's not real great if it would happen in the dead of winter when no one's here. So we asked that he be careful about the timing of conducting the study.
Yeah. Certainly you don't want to do it while we're tearing up the culvert.
There you go, right, exactly, another consideration, so definitely timing is questionable there, so. All right, that was it for liaison updates unless someone was missed? No, we're all good, all right? All right, let's see, may I have a motion on the consent agenda, approving the consent
Anyone
agenda?
want to pull anything up? Okay, I move that the select board approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Discussion? No, John,
Yes,
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Ann?
Yes,
Kathy says yes. Town administrators report.
Thank you. So we'll start with the Wi-Fi at the beach proposal. So the handout that I emailed you came in Wednesday, and I didn't have a chance to really get through it before the agenda was finalized and posted. But I also recognize they did submit it by Wednesday, so it's on me a little bit there. And they'd like to get in front of the select board as soon as possible. So it's not on your agenda for a vote tonight, but I did send it over to you to take a look at it and let me know if you have any questions or comments that you'd like me to relay and get answers to before it's on the agenda at the next meeting. I know in looking at it, I had a couple questions about where it's going to be physically set up. There's a few different components to the device, and I'm sure they have answers to all of that. That sounds from the proposal that it's going to be battery powered, so it won't need electric supply from the bathhouse, but there is antennas and different elements of the hardware. I just think we should get some answers on that.
I just want to say one thing, that I have family members that are involved in this, and I will be recusing myself from deliberating or voting on the subject.
Thank you.
So you have it. If you have any comments, send me an email.
I thought it was well thought out.
Yeah, it seemed like an airline model, if you're on an airplane and you want to buy Wi-Fi for the
Yeah,
flight
exactly,
or,
Yeah,
kind of like that. That's
exactly.
what it looked like. I did have the same questions on location. I was just at the beach on Sunday and I'm like, where are they gonna put things? Because the new business around renting the beach chairs, they were over there and you had the table. So I think there are just some logistics questions that,
I'm sure.
And then again, not just, broadly, we don't really have a fee structure for these types of things where businesses, are operating on public property. We do require insurance and things of that nature, but I don't, again, that's something that every time a proposal comes up like this, it's I ask myself that question is, should we have some sort of standard fee rate for that type of permit? But that's a kind of a larger discussion that we've talked about.
but did anybody, on that subject, Ann, John, did you have any questions, Brian?
I apparently missed the message.
Oh, okay, you can take a look at it maybe and send them any questions into Tony
No, I think that,
this
like I
week.
say, is that I think now it's just, I heard the initial proposal and a lot of the things that were incorporated in the written proposal were some suggestions that came from Parks and Rec. So, there is that. So I think that Parks and Rec really did give them guidance as to what they had to do, and all these questions that Tony has have already been broached, so I think they'll have answers for us.
John, did you have a question?
no, none at this point. I'll reread it again, but reading it first pass, I thought it was well written. I did have a question about just where they were gonna operate off of the beach, but you'll hear from me, Tony, if I have something else within the next few days.
Sure.
Well, I can't say within the next
I
few
will
days.
say, I've been down the beach and my phone's been on SOS and, so from a public safety standpoint, this type of service could help in a number of different scenarios. Division of Local Services from Department of Revenue was in for the last couple of weeks working on their financial management report. I met with them, they met with a number of department heads, Ann and John met with them. They'll be working on their report over the next few months. We may see a draft in 4 months, but they said 4 to 6, I think, was their timeline.
They had an interesting point of view, which is quite different from the way the town works. They are concerned that we depend on bonding issues and capital overrides. They would like to see us set up funds for everything that we plan to do and save the money first and then spend it.
Well, luckily, that's not their decision, is it?
No, not their decision, just,
Just as when you see their report,
yeah,
be aware that they have a bias.
they did bring that up. I mean, they said it's great how supportive the residents have been when it comes time for those capital needs and going to the ballot. They just said, you know, it can be a risky game to play if you don't get that support and you're unable to proceed with some of those capital needs. They also
On the
talked.
plus side, yeah,
Go
okay.
ahead, John.
Yeah, on the plus side, we both agreed that capital planning was an issue.
Yeah.
How to go about that, I think things diverged a bit.
It's a philosophy.
They did speak to the Town Administrators Act and the authority provided to me through that, or to this position through that. And one element they brought up was signing of the warrant on a weekly basis may be an issue that the statute gives the authority to the select board to sign that warrant. Select board has the ability to choose one or a backup select board member to come into the town hall and actually physically sign the warrant. I have legal taking a look at that opinion and providing their own. If that is an issue, if the Town Administrator Act doesn't authorize me to do that on your behalf strong enough by the opinion of our legal counsel, we'll come back to the select board with a solution.
Does the town have DocuSign?
Yes.
So,
Can we use it for the
Why-
cemetery deeds?
yeah, why can't we be using that for some of these things? Because at Essex Tech, we sign all our warrants through
I bought and
DocuSign.
sold a house on my phone using DocuSign.
It may be a non-issue to begin with.
How about an auto pen?
Our coastal property drone survey is in progress. It's in the early stages, but they're working with our police department and DPW to figure out their schedule to start their drone surveying. This is to create a baseline of material and condition of our coastal properties so that we can measure on an annual basis and post storm events so we can claim any damages that we might need to in the future. We spoke about the smell coming from the wastewater plant a few weeks ago, and I sent an update. The gasket replacement project is 100% complete now. And I think Chuck's comment was those gaskets were probably original to the plant. And those keep the air and the smell, airtight on those tanks. So we're hoping that that'll make a huge difference.
Is that a costly,
It's all custom gaskets, so I'm sure it wasn't entirely cheap, but.
you can't like defer on a maintenance schedule over 10 years? Anyway.
Well, we're gonna be looking at, given that, we'll see how these improvements go, but it seemed like the select board wanted us to take a closer look at what type of rotating schedule and the cost analysis associated with that relative to the smells coming from the treatment plant.
What about the schedule on the wood chip?
The biofilters next, so they had company come out and take a look at the filter, and they're pricing out replacement of the wood chips, and also they did kind of an existing conditions assessment, and there's a fabric liner in there that might need to be replaced as well. So we're getting pricing on that, but that's the next step.
Okay.
Thank you. Continuing to work on the capital plan, as mentioned, continuing to work through contract negotiations. The state budget was finalized and signed by the governor, included in the state budget for Manchester by the Sea. From Senator Bruce Tarr, a $75,000 earmark for senior center improvements.
Nice.
And from Representative Drew Tarr, a $25,000 earmark for a new police motorcycle. Our existing motorcycle has been, hasn't been used.
I was gonna say, I didn't
don't know if
realize
you've
we
ever seen
had one, I haven't seen it
Bruce's
operational.
Kia got off the force.
So it's an opportunity for us to replace that at no cost on the town.
Do we really need one?
We do, I think so, I would say yes.
Okay, we've managed to live without one for a couple of years.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that doesn't come without any negatives.
so I think it
It's a
would be
different
helpful to
style of
educate
policing.
us. It would be helpful to educate us on what we can't do when we don't have the motorcycle.
Do we have officers that have motorcycle licenses now?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And through NEMLEC, we're associated with NEMLEC, and so having the motorcycle is another asset that we can contribute to NEMLEC as a, you know, if someone needs a motorcycle unit for a particular event, we can participate in that, and then assets that we don't have in-house that other departments have that are associated with NEMLEC, you know, we get that in return.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure it gets used, that's all.
And then we also received from the Massachusetts Council on Aging, grant for senior center modernization, which is $14,994. And essentially, I was excited to tell you about that until this morning, until the beginning of this meeting, but it's essentially that setup, the ability to have that set up next door.
Minus the technical
Minus the
difficulties.
And the company that we use to purchase this equipment is on the state bid list, so we can just utilize that grant to purchase a similar setup. So between the $75,000 earmark and that grant, our next step is to make a decision as to spending the $75,000 on temporary ADA improvements to the senior center. But if we did do that and utilize that grant, we could start having public meetings over there in the short term. So those two puzzle pieces have aligned.
Do we know how much that's gonna cost for the ADA? Like, is it really gonna be 75, or what is that?
It depends on what menu, what options on the menu we choose. I think we can certainly do a ramp, access to the front door for much less than that. It really comes down to what we do with the bathrooms.
So we're scheduled to have our first joint discussion with FinCom, I think, on the senior community center sometime in August. We're supposed to get that, was it 35% design? Is it 35% design is due in August? And
Yes, but I think that's gonna be September.
so we get the
Actually, it might be
information.
August.
I know we're
Might be
getting the
August.
information in August.
Yeah.
It wasn't clear if the meeting was gonna be in August or the meeting was gonna be in September.
I was hoping to have that information presented to the select board in August, and then if we're gonna have a discussion with the finance committee or a joint discussion, see if they could do that. If not, we would go to them in September.
Okay.
Cause I think their August agenda seemed a little full already.
Okay. Can we just make sure that's on the action list? Because the facilities planning committee, we're definitely tracking that and making sure that we keep an eye on that as well. Anything else?
I was just gonna mention that we toured CST.
Oh, yes, that's right, yeah.
Ann, Kathy, John, and I went and took a look at the progress being done at CST. It was impressive.
They've put
Land
millions into the landscaping.
Yeah, the landscaping is quite impressive.
Yeah, I think he said they've planted over 300 or 400 trees and.
Which is tough in a drought, you know, to get those things started, so.
But it was impressive what they've done so far, and they're hopeful to be before us before the end of the next calendar year for a building permit application. Which their process is like an 8-month process from design to permit application, so that means they'll be starting that process at the end of this year.
So they'll start with schematics, a full set of architect, MEPs, and then there won't be the construction documents for, probably, like you say, a year or so.
Yeah.
Just minor point, I heard them say that they were done blasting. They have done all the blasting that they need to do for the first phase and the second phase, and they are no longer blasting there.
I heard the same thing,
I
so.
did too.
Yeah.
That's good.
Anything else, Tony?
That's it.
Let's make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks for joining
Thanks a lot.
us,
Thank you,
John.
John.
Sorry about the delay.